The name of our main protagonist is Su Xiaohen, in this life. He turned 24 this year. As he stepped outside his apartment, his landlord demanded that he pay the monthly rent, to which he agreed. As a person who got kicked out by his family and has no education, he currently works odd jobs to meet his ends. While wearing his helmet, he got a notification for a new order. On his way, there was a wild chase where a hero was flying after a running thief. In a matter of seconds, the thief was captured by the hero's flames, and the surrounding people sang his praises. Coincidentally, in the same area, the walls of a building burst open and a hero came down, sliding a rope while he yelled like a Tarzan. The woman in his arms was impressed by him, and the hero asked her to rate him 5 stars. Even in this commotion, Su, our protagonist, was calmly riding on his bike to the restaurant. Orders waited for him at the restaurant and he took them to delivery. Su Xiaohen didn't know much about himself, except for the fact that he never lived past the age of 25. From his memory, he could gather that whatever profession he chose, he would easily be number 1 in it, but soon he would die in a way that could only be called stupid. Like smashed by a vase or a toilet exploding or choking on water, etc. For example, in his last world, he was prepared in all ways to avoid his death, but he ended up choking on a melon seed. So he decided that in this life, instead of being the number 1 in something, he would turn into a waste, hoping that he could live past 25. As he drove past the lanes, a woman yelled at him to get out of her way. Since he couldn't, the woman tried to leap over him, but instead, she ended up sitting on his face. Ultimately, they crashed and the woman sat on top of Su. As he brought back his thoughts together, the woman asked him for his help as someone was chasing her to violate her. Su denied helping her and told her to call the police or heroes for help. But she wasn't ready to give up just yet. She used more of her charm this time while asking for his help, but Su was lost in the thought of how much time and money he was losing. Finally, Su told her to sit behind him as he was in a hurry. Another voice came from the dark lane. A man who looked like a thug stepped into the light, and he was a level 4 criminal who worked for a casino. He wanted the woman to pay her debt, either with money or by using her body. As soon as Su saw him, he pushed the woman off his bike mercilessly. But the woman was not ready to let go of him just yet. She took hold of his jacket and pulled him back. Su even pointed out that it was her mistake for gambling without any money, so it was now her responsibility to pay instead of making a run for it. The woman's jaw dropped by how heartless Su was. The thug took hold of Su's tee as he didn't like the attitude on his face. He lifted him up in the air with his right hand and kept on babbling about himself. Su slapped his head in disdain as more and more time was getting wasted because of this thug. Within the blink of his eye, Su vanished from within his hand, just leaving his jacket behind. Before the thug realized what had happened, Su had already knocked him with a high kick to his jaw. The thug flew back straight toward the wall. Without wasting any time, Su charged towards him. Even using his strongest defense spell was of no use in front of his attack. The force of it was immense, like that of a dragon. There was a blast and the thug was knocked out of consciousness. Like a flash of memory, his mind reminded him of the delivery he had to make. The woman who was gawking all this time was shocked by how it took just a single blow to knock down a level 4 power user. Taking out her phone, she scanned for his identity, but his identity was unknown. The next morning, the landlord visited him at the door. News was that the rent got raised by 500 and the due amount of 3 months was to be paid by the end of the week. This sudden event disrupted Su's plans of living. It was impossible for him to pay the lump sum, as he would have to do 360 deliveries in the next 3 days to make that much of an amount. So he decided to get a new place. In a related chat room, he got a message from a person who was looking for a co-renter. Even though a bit suspicious, Su visited that place after his delivery work. He waited for his co-renter at the doorstep as he was a half hour earlier than agreed time. Out of the door came the woman who he had met earlier. Both were astonished when they looked at each other. The woman was renting out her space because her detector blew out and she was out of money. Su heard her but didn't continue the conversation. He opened the door and went inside. The woman forcefully tried to enter into his room, quoting that no one would be as heartless as leaving a beauty such as herself on the streets. Su wasn't moved by that. He didn't allow her to enter. When she saw that he resisted, she changed her colors and now blackmailed him. With the fact that he wasn't registered with the association even though he was a level 6, and she would blow out his secret. She left Su with no choice. He threatened to kill her, but she casually stepped inside the room, stating that she liked to wake up in the morning with the semi-filtered sunlight in that room, and soon she suggested her ideas on the interior design. Su threatened her again, but she caught his bluff and began undressing in front of him. As they talked, she revealed to him that she was the head of the intelligence section, even though a bit poor. Watching the unmoved Sue, the woman pleaded him to rent her the space as she desperately needed it, just like Sue who needed the money. In the end, Sue took the money from her as she sexily lay on the bed, asking him to do something only a talented person could do. Sue's thoughts went wild as she kept on hinting towards the obvious. But in the end, she revealed that she was talking about making money. Her plans were to open a backdoor for Sue so that she could enter the association without any testing. This way he could earn a hefty amount and wouldn't have to earn money anymore. In this, she demanded her share to be half of what he earned. A knock on the door interrupted their conversation. It was the co-renter who was supposed to arrive. A cute girl stood outside the door. She was satisfied with the room and the cost of the rent. As the cute girl asked Sue which room was hers, the woman in her nightgown stepped outside her room to join their conversation. She leaped on the cute girl and rubbed her with affection. Sue noticed something and asked both the girls to step aside. To their surprise, the wall burst and a bruised man landed, and following him a huge brawny man stepped inside. The scan revealed that he was a level 5 criminal. The cute girl was frightened as she was a mere level 3 like the bruised man on the floor. The brawny man was from a well-known criminal group and wasn't afraid of the association. The woman thought it was a nice time to check out Sue's ability, so she turned towards him to ask his help. But Sue was already busy with something. He was patching the hole in the wall. So, she started forcing him to fight and they started to argue. The cute girl noticed that the criminal was now angry and was closing towards them, so she went and clutched onto the woman. The criminal leaped towards them, to finish them all with a single punch. Nothing happened. Sue stopped his attack just by using his palm. It was the first time anyone had stopped his attack, so he turned into serious mode and went after Sue, continuously attacking him while he evaded like a slippery snake. Things were getting destroyed. First the couch and now the refrigerator. Before the criminal could do any more damage, Sue slapped him, and he went flying over the sky. Both the girls were dumbstruck by this. The injured man saw all this. He never fainted in the first place. Now someone else knows this secret. Sue and the woman panicked and argued again. A purple ball of light formed at the tip of the cute girl's finger, and she used that to rewire the injured man's memory. Now he thought that he was the one who defeated Lucas.